Hi everybody. So for all of those who have asked me, this is my tips and tricks for the CPA financial reporting um, exam. So I will just try and keep this really brief. It's not rocket science. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about is something that you would have already known. Um, and before I begin, I'll just give my disclaimer. This is not something that I usually do. This is the first time I'm making a video like this, but I thought that this will be the fastest way to let you guys know what you guys were asking me about. So, full disclosure, this is my first time taking the exam. I got a high distinction. I have a full-time job and I have a 1.5-year-old. So it was quite busy, and there were days that I actually must have averaged about 5 to 6 hours sleep for the last 2 months. And sometimes when I was doing the worked out examples and the problems and stuff, I was actually feeling like a zombie because I was so tired. But pushed through it, got a high distinction, 733, that's the score, and I'm quite happy with that. My partner's super proud of me. So I'll get right into it. I'll just keep this brief. 3 things that you got to remember. First thing first, the book is the Bible, okay? You have to read the book cover to cover. Okay, I'm not talking about the knowledge equity, you know, the stuff that helps you. All of that is separate over there. All my study material from knowledge equity. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the CPA book. And the reason why this is so important is because CPA is not going to ask you anything outside of this book. So whether there are questions or whatever there is that's going to come in the exam, it's already there in this book. So you need to read this cover to cover. I must have gone through this at least 3 times. This means that I did all the case studies in the book. I marked out the questions. As you can see, there's a tab over there for some of the hard questions. And this is very important. Why? Because for all of those who have taken the exam, they would know that some of the questions that came in the exam were actually from the book. One of the examples I remember was actually from the book, only the numbers were different. So in an exam situation when you don't have a lot of time, instead of trying to actually analyze everything and work everything out in your head, it's so much easier to just go look at the example in the book, copy it out, work it out, just change the numbers, and then just go from there, and you have the correct answer in less time, and you've not had to use your own head. It was there in the book. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is, it's an open book exam, right? Again, there's something that you guys know. And what does that mean though? It means that you don't need to know everything in the book. What you need to know is how to get to the correct answer. So you need to have a grid or a map in your own head. And the way I have done it is through tabs. I have, if you can see this is crazy, but it's a different color coded tab for every single module. In an exam situation, again, it's easier for me to look at a color and go, yeah, that's for module 4. Blue is module 4. And that's why I don't have to think much about it. It was just easier for me to do it that way. I have it color coded on top like that. If you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then on the side I've got all of the important ones marked. Okay. Now when we come down to this, a lot of people also ask me whether I could share the index that I have made. I only made an index for module 4, and I'm happy to upload that for you guys. It's actually written in my own handwriting, which is not very good, but if you guys wanted, happy to upload that. But what I did do is have a look at this. Every single thing that I needed or that was over and above, I indexed it in the section itself. There is also an index at the back of the book, okay? and utilize it. It's actually a really good index. And what I did over and above that was actually I wrote around in the index. Why did I do it this way? First thing, I'm lazy not to make my own index, and second thing is that in an exam situation it gives me one less piece of paper that I have to look at. It is there over there itself in the book, so I can easily go and turn to that page and I know what it is. It also has got all the IAS and the IFRS mentioned over there. Now my third big tip is, please go through the knowledge equity webinars and all the practice questions and everything. Some of you would be going like, well, that's contradicting what she just said before, but no, it isn't. It knowledge equity will actually make it easier for you to go through this book. When especially in module 6s and 7, Michael Koyo's webinars were absolutely gold. What I would do is I would listen to maybe 5-10 minutes of the webinar, read the relevant paragraph, and then just go forward with it. You will not have a lot of time left after you've done module 4 and 5, and going through the webinars and then opening the book and reading the relevant section is the fastest way to actually complete the whole syllabus. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was with knowledge equity. So this subject is like maths, okay? You should be practicing it every single day. I practiced it, like I said, I was sometimes like a zombie, 5-6 hours of sleep, and I thought that, well, there's no way that I can retain any of this. I was wrong. You do retain things. It's like when you do a plus b square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. You know that. And so it brings me to this. Okay, they have these flowcharts in knowledge equity. Now these are absolutely like a maths formula. Whatever you need to know, it's actually there in the flowchart. What I did over and above that was make my own notes in the flowchart. So if there was a flowchart which only had, like for instance, how am I going to calculate this, right behind it I've also got the debits and credits, how to actually do the journal for that same thing. So here are my top 3 tips to getting good score in financial reporting. If you found this helpful and you want me to actually go through anything else, share any of the materials that I have got, please let me know. I'm happy to share that with you. No issues at all. If you want me to go through anything else, like module by module, I'm happy to do that too. But there is no golden mantra that I have, to be honest. It is a lot of hard work. I didn't go out at all for 2 months. Like I've said again, I barely slept, but it's all worth it at the end. Yeah. When I went to the exam, I also have to just say this, that the knowledge equity practice 1 and practice 2 tests were a lot tougher than what I found the exam. The exam was actually easier, though in what I felt was it was a lot more lengthier. It took a lot more time. So that brings me to the last thing that I'm going to share. This is very, very silly, but I find it very hard to manage my time. So I've got a post-it and I've actually written down exactly how many questions I should have answered by what time. This is for my personal understanding. CPA Australia gives you a sort of guideline, but this is for me to understand that this is how it is. And when I go back to talking about the book being the Bible, I did read it at least 3 times. And the first time I read it, I put little notes like this on it, at the side of it, so that the second time when I'm reading it, it actually doesn't take that much time, because I've already put these little notes with pencil on it. I used a pencil because sometimes my notes were not correct and I had to erase it and I had to redo it. The only other thing that I would say is that for people who where English is not your first language, taking notes and actually writing explanations down in the book really helps, especially if you're doing it in some other language apart from English, because it's visually a lot more faster for you to actually read that. I I have my own grid that I use. For instance, for me, again, everything is backwards, but that delta sign for me is change, pi sign is profit. I've got notes like that all over the book. For me, it's just so much easier to read it when in an exam situation, time actually matters. So I'm hoping that this video is going to help at least some people. If it helps even one person, I'm going to be happy. Let me know if you want me to post something else, from module to module, or if you want any specific notes of mine. I'm happy to share that with you guys. Thanks so much.